Okay. Am I audible to all of you? If I'm not visible, does not matter. If I'm audible, that's more than enough. So, hi, good evening, everybody. This is an impromptu session that was prompted by the multiple requests I got via Telegram and WhatsApp regarding how to face this upcoming DNP exam when the previous results were not so great. All right, so I have got the list of questions here. So some are personal questions about me, and some are regarding the DNB exam. So I'll just clear away the personal questions first, so we can concentrate straight away on our DNB exams. So I will not be mentioning who sent what questions. I will just be discussing the doubts that were asked. Please note that this is not an academic session. This is more like a motivational slash guidance sort of session. I'm sorry if I'm not very presentable, but we just had a rough day in the park. All right, fine. So one personal question was, how many hours do I study per day? See, the number of hours I study is around 3 to 5 hours. If I am having a good day, then it is 5 hours. If I'm having a bad day, it can be even 0 hours. All right. So I can study only when my son is asleep, and almost none other time I can study. So it all revolves around him at the present moment. So yes, it's somewhere between 3 to 5 hours. But when I do study, I try to concentrate and make use of as much time as possible. Next, where did I do my MD from? I did my post graduation from Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute. And third question was, when is my birthday? How is that going to help anybody? I don't know. But for information, it's in February. It's coming next week, I think, around 23rd. Around it is on 23rd. Sorry. All right. So 23rd February is my birthday. So that's about personal questions. So let's get on to the DNP questions. So DNB, I have put it into umbrellas. All right. So most of them were variations of the same questions. But the most common question that I got asked was, how should I study in the next 1 month? All right. So it's a very vast topic. I understand. There are lots of things to cover, and it does not get covered in a single book. So that's probably one of the biggest downfalls that I can say. But no matter, but we can still study in 1 month. All right. It's not that you are going to study anything for the first time. You would have at least heard the terms in your 2 years or 3 years tenure during your residency. All right. So you will definitely know something about everything, if not everything about everything. Okay. So how are you going to plan? Before you plan, you should know how you are going to study. It's important that you prepare yourself, your environment, and your mind. All right. All three are important. So how are you going to prepare your environment? Each person will have a different environment. You cannot put everybody in a single square or a single circle. So for me, my comfortable area is very honestly where my son sleeps. All right. So if he's sleeping on the bed, I sit beside him and I study so that he does not fall down. And at nights, I study with night lamp, again sitting beside him on floor. Okay. So this is my area, and I have gotten comfortable to it. If I get bored with a specific area, then I change places. So do that. So suppose you have a study table, it's not necessary you have to sit in your study table and read. If it works for you, then fine. But what I have observed is over a period of time, you will find that the same area does not work for you. So even, turning a 180-degree will definitely help you. If you do not have place to, actually change the studying place, at least turn the direction in which you are sitting and studying. That will definitely help. So change the place where you study. If you find one place is not working for you, change a place. Most of you might be, studying from hostels. So in that case, you can go to a friend's room, sit and study. You can sit in a common area, or you can go to the library if that is available. So that brings to my next point. How are you comfortable with background noises? Three types you can use. You can actually hear songs and read. You can listen to music, just music without the lyrics and read, or without anything, you can go ahead and read. It depends on the person. Studies have shown that people who listen to music or songs and study, they tend to do better. But again, it cannot be universalized. Okay. For me personally, if I hear a song and study, what I do is I start singing the song. So that does not work for me anyway. If I listen to music, if I know that music, then again I sing along with it. Then the purpose is not served. So if you can hear a music, if you're comfortable with it, don't start anything new. Okay, if you're comfortable with listening to music and studying, go ahead, do that. Take a basic headphone, connect to your phone, sit and study. All right. So if you're comfortable with music, there are multiple concentration musics that are available in YouTube. It's available for free. It can go on for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours even. So you can choose one of those. They come without ads. So that will help you drown out the background noise. So concentration music also, again, it can be just white noise or it can be binaural beats. Binaural beats, they have been shown to, boost your concentration. So you can go for that if you want. If you are not comfortable with that, you can just stick to white noise. White noise works beautifully for people who do not have a conducive environment for studying. All right. So white noise basically drowns out everything else. Hmm? White noise drowns out everything else. If you have some construction work going on in the background, or if you have a small kid as a neighbor who's crying, cranky all the time, it's very difficult for you to concentrate while you're studying. So blast white noise, sit and study. It'll drown out everything else. You will have a good environment to concentrate on what you want to do. So that's about background noise. Next, keep your environment wherever you sit. It does not matter whether it's your study table, it could be your bed. My undergrad days, I mostly sat in bed and read. All right. So for me, I have to have a full Ella book, so I need to have. Okay, so only then I am satisfied. I might not read from everything. That's a different matter altogether. But I need to have every book open in front of me. It gives me the illusion that, okay, I'm reading so many things, I'm reading everything. So if you want to read like that, go ahead and read. Don't listen to anybody. Don't think about what others might think. They are not in your shoes. All right. They do not know your situation. They do not know the pressure you're under. Does not matter what they think. What matters is you have to achieve the goal that you have set. So do whatever is necessary to achieve it. If you have to spread out your books in hundreds square meter area, spread it out and sit and study. Does not matter. All right, let them say whatever they want to. It does not matter at the end of the day. If you pass your DNB exams, then you can shove it in their face and say, see, I did it. I did it because I studied as I wanted to. All right. So keep your environment as you like it. Keep your environment distraction free. That's very, very important. Never bring your mobile phone into your study area. If you are someone who reads from a tablet, then I suggest you eliminate all those games, all those WhatsApp applications, Telegram applications that you have on your tablet. Okay. At the least, very least, you need to disable the notifications because they definitely provide a source of distraction, which you do not want when you are in this intense mode of preparation. All right. So if something pops up, it's natural tendency for you to, click and see, somebody has posted something. Just let me take a look at it. Okay. So that is not going to give you a good concentration capacity. All right. And multitasking is something that I seriously avoid. All right. I'm a phone addict, to be honest. I need to keep checking if somebody has messaged something, if somebody is reaching out for some advice, or somebody is some asking doubt about a patient that they are managing in ICU or in their OPD. So I constantly check my phone. But what I found was it was reducing my productivity at the end of the day, where I could have spent a solid 1 hour finishing the fluids and electrolytes. I was able to do the same thing over 3 years just because I was, switching between my book and my phone. So don't do that. Don't think, okay, I will pay my Airtel bills, I will pay my Geo bills, and then sit and study. In between studying, never allow for distractions. It will not end good at all. All right. So keep your environment free from anything that might distract you. If you're someone who plays video games, put it in the attics. All right. Put it in the attics. Um, thank you, Dr. Turumu, I think so. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to keep it up. Dr. Srinivas, my email ID is drpavitraviswanathan@gmail.com. It's very simple, straightforward. I'll message you. I'll message you in the comment box. So you can reach out to me. I will get back to you as soon as I can. pavitraviswanathan@gmail.com. Yes. Okay. So this is about your environment. What about you? You have to get a good night's sleep. Does not matter if you are a resident, does not matter if you are in your OPD practice, does not matter if you are working in a hospital as a senior resident or a consultant. Okay, you need to get a good night's sleep. It's not enough, madam. I will sleep well before the day of exam will not work. You need to have a consistent good sleep. You have to study, no? How will you be able to, use the little bit of brain that you are using when it is already tired from not sleeping well? Okay, so sleep well, please. 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever works for you is fine, but get a good night's sleep. And before sleeping, preferably again avoid digital devices. That will reduce the quality of sleep. All right. So put on nice soothing music and go to sleep. Keep your sleeping area also free from mobiles. We have the tendency of checking mobile just before going to sleep. Immediately after getting a reflex reaction, take your mobile and see what has come. Most of the time you don't tend to do anything looking at that message. It has got nothing to do with you. It has got nothing that requires you to be acting upon something. You don't need to act upon any of the messages. Just think back past 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. Have you acted upon at least one or two messages that you have seen in your mobile as soon as you got up? Nothing. All right. So, especially when you're getting up in the morning, you have a very nice frame of mind. You have a mind that well rested, that is clear, that is ready to absorb whatever you're going to read. Don't piecemeal that nice framework of mind by looking into your mobile. Please don't do that. It's nothing is going to happen if you delay checking your messages by 1 or 2 hours in the morning. All right. If it's such an emergency, people will call you. They are not going to stop messaging. All right. So they'll be calling you. So don't worry. Never check your phones as soon as you get up. Have a good frame of mind. Don't think, Achu, I need to do that. Achu, I need to do this when you are sitting and studying. Okay. So when you're sitting and studying, it has to be only about study. Never have this background train of thought that is going to run behind you. I tend to do that. All right. So that's why I know. And this keeps slipping. I don't know. Sorry. I tend to do that. So, for example, today my goal was to sit and finish the fluids and electrolytes in Nelson 21st edition, which I did. But it was after, it was more than what I intended to. The reason was, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, this person has asked this question. I'm supposed to talk about this. This person has asked that, so I should include this. And I don't think this will be necessary. So that background thought was running behind me. And that was not allowing me to concentrate on whatever I was studying. And again, I was constantly checking my phone to see if somebody has messaged something in the last moment. So it did not help me. All right. So have a right frame of mind, away from distractions. Sit and study constantly. All right. Don't take your mobile phone into your study area at all. Again and again and again, I'm stressing. And eat smart food. Pizzas, burgers, they are nice once in a while, but keep those as treats. For example, so if you have something in your mind to achieve today, if you have achieved that goal, then give yourself a reward as a pizza. Don't munch on pizza when you are studying. So that's not a healthy food. That's not a smart food. Okay. So smart food will be your nuts, fruits. You can munch on those and you can continue to study, and that will boost your energy also. Your simple chocolates or your biscuits, they're going to give a short sugar rise, but then you're going to go into a dip. That sugar dip is, even bad compared to what you were before. So don't go for short fixes, go for healthy fixes. And exercise, I cannot stress this enough. So when you get up in the morning, if you're somebody who exercises, then kudos to you. Very good. Go ahead. I'm still trying to get into that habit and I'm not, because honestly, whenever I get up in the morning, I'm like, okay, before this fellow gets up, I have to finish off reading. If I spend 10 minutes exercising, then that is 10 minutes I could have read, right? But you know what happens? The days when I exercise, I actually tend to do better, even in lesser time than what I wanted to achieve. Okay. So exercise is good. If you think you are in sort of a funk after reading for quite some time, go for a walk, go for a short sprint, go for push-ups if you're someone who can do push-ups, that is. All right. Or even at least a walk around the block, walk around the hostel room, your corridor, something. So a small exercise will definitely, will be a change of pace. They will give you a change of mind, will give you a fresh perspective as to what you want to read next. So include exercise in your study schedule. I would say include it in your schedule per se. So that comes to our next question. How am I going to study? So you saw your environment, you saw how you are going to prepare yourself. So it's health, body, mind, everything together. All right, including your soul. If you're someone who prays, prayer actually helps. So please go ahead and pray. I definitely believe there's a higher power that is going to help us through all sorts of adversities. And I pray regularly. I pray for you guys as well as for me. So how are you going to study? See, study, there are multiple study techniques that are there. But in the last 1 month, you cannot apply new study techniques like, Feynman techniques or your flashcard techniques. That won't help in the last moment. What I would suggest is plan, do a plan that is achievable for you in the next 1 month. Do not overstress if you are not covering everything. It does not matter, because at the end of the day, your neurons will remember what you have read even in the past 3 years. It will make connections and you will be able to write something, even if it's not the direct question that you prepared for. All right. So make a plan. Your plan ideally should include areas of, so I am including the areas that I want you to concentrate on, but that's okay. Social pediatrics, development, vaccination, nutrition, statistics, and newer advances. I think these are weak areas for almost everybody, isn't it so? So what you can do is, you have 1 month, right? 18, 19, 20, and 21 are the exam dates, right? 4 dates. So what you can do is, in the next 30 days, you have what? 6 topics, right? 5 days for each topic. So 5 days for social pediatrics, 5 days for your development, 5 days for vaccination, 5 days nutrition, 5 days statistics, and 5 days newer advances. So in those 5 days, apart from your systems pediatric studying, because systems form a major part, like for example, your neonatology constitutes 25% of your total marks. So you are obviously going to give more importance to those areas, right? So those you will include. Apart from that, every day you read some social pediatrics. Next day you read some development. Next day some vaccination. So in a day, suppose you are studying 6 hours, 1 to 2 hours you schedule for these areas which you are weak in but are high yielding. That is the imbalance that is happening. No, we are not very confident with these areas, but examiners are very fond of these areas. They are fond of asking these questions. Anemia Mukt Bharat, your Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, then RKSK, then whatever programs, your statistics, forest plot, your Kaplan-Meier analysis, case control versus cohort study. So those are all questions that you might know, but you will not be able to present it that well. Correct. So that brings us to our next thing. How are you going to present? How are you going to practice presenting in a paper? So you have to write. That's the only solution. And it's not enough you go directly to the exam and write. Practice writing from now on, because speed is very, very important for your DNB exams. So per question you will have, if you have say 20 questions in a paper, 10 questions, each question has A and B, A and B, and B. So you have 20 questions for 3 hours, 180 minutes. So that gives you what, around 8 to 10 minutes per question. All right. So per question you have 8 to 10 minutes. What I would suggest you do is, whatever topic you are reading that day, first take an overview of what are the things you're going to read in that topic. Then select 1 or 2 questions, at least 2 questions. Hardly you're going to spend what, 20 minutes, right? So 20 minutes, sit and write those 2 questions as you would write in an exam. All right. So time yourself, sit and write those 2 questions and see how far you are able to complete those 2 questions. Then at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, reevaluate. So whatever you have written, if you are the examiner, how many marks will you be giving? And you will definitely have an idea as to how to improve presenting the same question if it is going to be asked. So advantages, one, you get the practice of writing fast within 10 minutes each question. And two, you have actively recalled and you have written it down on a paper. And three, while re-evaluating, you're actually revising it once again. So it has so many advantages, but not more than two, because again, you do not have the time. Do studies in short sprints. It's intense session of reading rather than doing a slow marathon. It does not matter if you study 12 hours per day, but still you are not able to cover many things. Even if you study 5 to 6 hours, if you are able to focus and study, do intense sessions, then it helps. What do I mean by intense sessions? If you actually set a short goal, you tend to do better completing the same topic. Like for example, day before yesterday, what I read was with neonatology. All right. So neonatology, I'm currently trying to read up the 2021 Southeast Asian edition of Cloherty. So I thought, okay, so 20 pages, 30 pages. I thought 20 pages, for reading 20 pages, I will take at least 1.5 hours, 1 hour minimum, because it's not a topic that I did not know. Only I'm reading it from a newer book. I want to underline the newer points. I sat and I set a goal of 1 hour. And I thought, okay, I am going to finish birth trauma and I am going to finish twin pregnancies or twin gestation. And I sat and studied with full focus. What I found was I was actually done in 30 minutes here. I was surprised. I was not sure whether I had actually completed, and I went back. I did. So what it helps is it brings your mind into hyper focus. All right. So once you are totally focused, you will be able to definitely complete it very fast. And if you find your mind wandering during these intense study session, remind yourself that you are there to study, you have a goal and you have to achieve it, and try to follow with your finger. All right. Whether you're reading from a book or a tablet does not matter. Follow it with a finger. So when you do that, your eyes will continue to follow whatever line you're reading, and it gives an additional sensation. You are supposed to read with all your senses. Yeah, you can't lick your book, no taste sensation. Let's say if you're munching on something, that gives an added sensation, isn't it so? So you're using your eyes to read, right? If you're going to say something out, then that's your mouth that's moving. Your ears are hearing what you say, and your fingers are feeling the sensation of the book or the tablet, whichever you are reading from. So all of these senses together, and plus if you are munching on something, even if you do not remember everything, you will remember something during the exams. You will remember, when I was eating this bakoda, I read this point. One point I read, I remember. And your mind will try to actively recall, because your mind has connected that bakoda to that point. If not the place in the book, if not the lecturer who taught it, at least the bakoda will help you in exams. All right. So remember that. Then in 10 sessions, we found active reading. That's more important than passive reading. It's not enough if you say, if you turn the book, 20 pages, yes, 30 pages, 40 pages. No, read actively. All right. So when you see a topic in your book, before reading, you recall. What do you know about that? You might be surprised by how much you know. You might know more than what is written in the book, because you have seen patients, you have managed those patients. You will definitely know better. All right. So recall what you already know about the topic, then go ahead and read it up in the book. You will finish it faster, and you will add on to points what you already know. It will give you a boost of confidence, and your mind is actively learning rather than passively reading. Reading is not equal to learning. Please remember, reading is not equal to learning. So that's that. And if you're someone who can teach, please teach. That will definitely help you recall during the exams. It's going to benefit not just you, it's going to benefit others also. And if you are in the habit of reading out loud while you are studying, try to record it. Okay. So if whenever you are eating, whenever you are going for a walk, you can listen to whatever you are reading. All right. No taste sensation, Akshay. Correct Danepa. Don't laugh. Okay. Don't make fun of me. Right. So listen to whatever you have told. Okay, so that will actively, get yourself thinking, get yourself listening to yourself. Again, an extra sensation. Your brain will wire all those things. All right, your neural connections will be made. It will help you during exams. So these are some things that you will do. What you do not want to do is do not want to read from a new book. Okay, do not change from whatever you have read so far unless that book has a specific question that you think is very good, or your friend suggests that this particular question is given very nicely in this book, then go ahead and read. I'm not saying no to that, but don't completely change your book. Okay, because I had one of our DNB residents ask me, Madam, I am reading from OP Guy and I am reading, one other doctor said he was reading from Nelson. He or she, I don't remember. I have read almost cover to cover. But what I find now is, since I do not have notes, I find that it is very difficult to go through the same thing again. And I find that it is very difficult to recall what I have read earlier. And now I'm afraid that I don't know anything. This is a completely normal sensation every exam going student is going to have. You think that your mind is completely empty. Okay. And you know what happens in the exam hall? You feel your mind is empty, and in that fear, your bladder becomes full. That's a very uncomfortable sensation. We do not want that. So to boost your confidence, that's why I'm telling, don't be fearful. Be assured that you definitely know this topic. Yeah, you definitely know. I'm sure all of you must have read something. All of you must have heard something. All of you must have seen something. Correct. Nothing is going to be new. So recall, recall. If it's Nelson, fine, stick with Nelson, does not matter. But know that apart from Nelson, you have to read certain other topics. OP Guy, yes, well and good. Most of the topics are covered, but OP Guy again may not cover the recent advances. OP Guy may not cover the social pediatrics part. So each book has its own advantages and disadvantages, but stick to whatever you have read so far. If you do not have notes, does not matter, stick to your textbook. Try not to read from somebody else's notes, because that notes is for them. They have written it in such a way that that is going to help them, not you. All right. So if they are teaching you from the notes, then fine, you can follow through the notes. And if you have time, you can make notes. But last 1 month, do not make notes. I think you'll be able to recall what they have taught you. All right. So this is about your method of studying. And what you should not do is don't overlearn, don't overdo things. Just because you have completed something in 4 hours that you had planned for 5 hours, don't think, I have 1 more hour, I will sit and study one more topic. I would suggest you take a break of at least half an hour. Okay, so take a break of half an hour, then sit and study. Always take breaks between your study sessions and schedule it in your plan. Unless you plan for a break, you are never going to take a break. Take it from me. I have been through that, where I never scheduled, and I thought, I have half an hour more in what I have planned, so I will read one more topic. So this goes on and on. But what happens is, you will start at a nice peak, but you will slowly go down the slope, where you are like, Array, I'm reading, but I don't think anything is entering my brain, because you are fatigued. You will be burned out. Okay. So try to take a break in between your study sessions. 45 minutes. That's all you will have your concentration span for, your attention span for. So plan everything for 45 minutes. Next 15 minutes, take a break. Whatever mode of break, but not phone. Phone you will use only 3 times in a day. Okay. Morning when you're eating breakfast, look at phone, close it. Afternoon when you're eating lunch, look at phone, close it. Night when you're eating dinner, look at phone, close it. That's all. All right. If anything is an emergency, people will call you. They are not going to message you. Again and again and again, I'm stressing, phone is one of the most important causes for distraction. It's one of the most important cause for, how to tell, not achieving your goals. It acts in multiple ways. All right. It's an evil thing. We were better before phones, honestly. I think I studied better in my undergrad than in my postgrads. Okay. So that's about your DNB. How are you going to study? Plan for the next month, systems wise plan. Neonatology give very good importance, because 25 to 30% of questions are going to be from that. Then your miscellaneous stuff, which we discussed: social pediatrics, development, vaccination, nutrition, statistics, and newer advances. By newer advances, I mean read at least past 2 years IJPP. At least past 2 years IJPP. Okay. So you will have 4 issues in a year. So you have total of 8 issues. All right. 2020 and 2019 at least. Go through the topics. That's more important. Then Indian Academy of Pediatrics recommendation and guidelines page, you will have a set of 10 to 15 guidelines. Most of the guidelines we have discussed in our sessions. All right. So go through that, because every year, at least 2 to 3 questions will come regarding the guidelines. They will not ask straight away, write about guidelines for XYZ. They don't ask like that. All right. What they do ask is indirectly, umbilical cord banking or human milk banking. Those are all guidelines directly taken from that page. So I recommend that you go ahead and read that. Then in your Indian pediatrics, it's not Indian Journal of Pediatrics, Indian pediatrics, it's freely available. All issues are available. Past 2 to 3 years. Okay, don't look at your March, February, adalla don't look. Okay, so last 2 years, your 2020 and 2019, go through just the review articles and recommendations. Okay, there will be special articles, there will be recommendation, there will be reviews, there will be something called as drug reviews. And there are certain topics where it will be a discussion between a pathologist and a pediatrician. So those are the topics that frequently get asked. So concentrate in those areas. Then statistics. Statistics, stick to SPM. Okay, so SPM has a good coverage from top to bottom. So that will give you a good idea. And some of the statistics topics I have covered in YouTube sessions. Rest I will try to do in the upcoming days. Then nutrition wise, your severe acute malnutrition manual and your Elizabeth nutrition. Don't forget to read your minerals and vitamins. Okay. So minerals and vitamins, you can read from whichever book you have read from in your undergrad days. That's more than enough. Your vitamin D, be thorough. Top to bottom, you should be thorough on vitamin D. You have the physiology, biochemistry of vitamin D, the pathophysiology of a rickets, dependent rickets, resistant rickets, management, role of calcium, role of vitamin D in disease. So anyway, right and left, they can ask. So know about that. OP Guy is enough. Okay, so OP Guy is very nice and crisp. You can go ahead and read that. To add on to whatever OP Guy has given in the recent 9th edition, read your IAP updates. All right. So IAP update changes are there. 2 articles. One recommendation, full article is present, and the other one, short changes in the upcoming IAP. So those 2 articles, go through that. That's more than enough if you know for your vaccination. And from your IAP guidebook of recommendations, you have the initial few chapters, not the individual vaccines. I'm talking about the initial few chapters where they talk about the storage of vaccines, adverse events following immunization. Rather than individual vaccines, these general vaccination questions tend to get asked more frequently. So concentrate on that. Don't spend your time remembering schedules, remembering XYZ. Okay, so that's good for standard vaccines like hepatitis B, rabies, all those. But your general vaccination topics, you should be very thorough. Read on adolescent vaccination and vaccination in immunocompromised group, vaccine hesitancy. Okay, so those are all new things in the IAP recommendations book. Again, that is available free for download in IAP website. This is about vaccination. Development. Okay, so development wise, you stick to OP Guy. Know the basic milestones thoroughly. Gross, fine, social, language, receptive, expressive. Okay, I will try to take a class on general aspects of development, but I have requested an expert to take classes on autism and ADHD. So let's see how that pans out. Okay, so development, you can go through that. And Nelson, you have these general topics. Okay, lying, stealing, truancy. So those topics give importance. Those are topics that gets repeated every year. One question gets asked. 1 year it was lying, 1 year it was stealing, 1 year it was hopefully it will be truancy coming year. We don't know. If it is, then you'll be lucky. So go ahead and read those topics in Nelson. Okay, the stuttering, stammering, those are all topics that can get asked. So go ahead and read at least 4 or 5 points. If you know about each thing, that's more than enough. Then social pediatrics or programs, we have already shared one small document in our pediatric text telegram group. Apart from that, Vikaspedia is a very good resource. So Vikaspedia has almost all the social programs discussed nicely. It's given in a nice short notes sort of format that will be easy for you to remember. So you can take a printout and you can keep it with you. That will be a good reference. So this is about miscellaneous stuff to read. One question was, I am good in practicals, but I am poor in theory. The thing is, all of you know your stuff. It's not that you do not know. All of you know. But the point of a theory exam is to make sure that you make the examiner realize that you know your stuff. And to know and to achieve that, you have to be able to put forth in writing what you know effectively. So you have to practice doing that. That's why daily practice at least 2 short notes. So that will give you an idea where you are weak in and how you can improve. And that brings me to my next question. Write an answer. So I'm poor in theory, fine, but I do not know how to write an answer. So in that case, practice. And depending upon the question, give diagrams, flowcharts. That will save you a lot of time. At the same time, communicating to the examiner that you know your stuff. And if suppose some question is not amenable to any sort of diagram, there are certain questions that will not help you in any way. For example, December 2019, there was this question, rituximab. Rituximab, what diagram will you draw? You can draw rituximab, you can draw a diagram of kidney. That's all you can do, right? Or you can think about all indications and you can write one kidney, one cells you can put, and you can say those are WBCs and they are used here. So those sort of things you can do. If suppose it's not amenable to diagrams, I suggest you highlight your side headings. Okay. So always write in a proper format. In your 8-9 minutes, spend the first minute thinking about how you are going to organize your answer. That's most important. Okay. So in a rituximab, if they have already given mode of action, indication, adverse effects, that's what you're going to give importance to. That you can say a small introduction. What is rituximab? Then what is the mode of action of rituximab? What are the indications for which it is going to be used? How is it going to be used? What are the contraindications for its use? What are the adverse effects following its use? What are the future? What is the future for rituximab like drug? So these are some of the things that I can think of off the top of my head. So in your exam, highlight these side headings and inside points. If you're writing something important, underline that. Try not to switch multiple pens if you're not comfortable with it. It does matter if you do not write in multiple colors. All right, so side headings write in black, inside write in blue, or whatever is asked in your exam or advised in your exam, follow that. You can underline the important points in your theory part. One more question was management of a child following kerosene injection. So if that sort of a question is asked, any approach questions, approach to a child coming with stridor, approach to a child coming with recurrent pneumonia, recurrent wheeze. So these are questions that will, you can draw diagrams, you can draw flow charts. So for example, management of a child following kerosene injection, you can say child coming with kerosene injection. Then I will examine the child, look for XYZ points. Then I will take an X-ray at 6 hours. There itself you can write why 6 hours and not before that. Then you can put 2 arrow marks and say, if the child is well, I will do this. If the child is unwell, I will do this. There, that is done. No, that's the management of kerosene poisoning. Apart from whatever inside you're going to write, you will write your fatal dose, 30 ml, why the child has a foreign body ingestion, all those things you can write. But if you put it in this way, the examiner knows that, okay, you know your stuff. That's what an exam is about. That's what a theory exam is about. Ideally, in an ideal world, you will want only practical exams. But this is not an ideal world. Theory exams still get, it's a part of our curriculum. So we need to prepare ourselves to attend those questions, approach those questions. So try to write your answer effectively by putting it in a table, putting it in a diagram, putting it in a flow chart. It can be a simple flow chart. It need not be a very gimmicky. It need not be very flashy. Does not matter. All that needs to be done is telling the examiner that, boss, this is what I want to convey to you. If that examiner is going to get it, then job well done. You're going to get the marks, you'll pass. All right. And so that's about how to write an answer. Time management for now, how you are going to plan in the next 1 month is, as I said, your miscellaneous topic 2 hours, the rest of the topics 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, how much time you have. One doctor had messaged me, Madam, I have only 3 hours per day. Does not matter, sir. If you have just 3 hours per day, sit and study in the 3 hours properly. Plan your 3 hours. Try not to overcram. Try not to say, I will complete CVS in 3 hours. I will complete respiratory system in 3 hours. Very few people are able to, sit with a single subject and actually complete the whole thing at a stretch. I am not such a person. Okay, so I am a person who has a very short attention span, and I need to switch subjects, switch topics in order to keep myself concentrating on that studying aspect. So, if you have just 3 hours to study, give 1 hour to this social pediatrics, give 2 hours to your systems. All right, in systems, you can have two systems or one system, that is up to you. All right, I cannot give an individualized plan to each and every one of you. I really wish I could, but I can't, because I do not know your style of studying. I don't know how many hours you have in a day. I do not know your strong and weak areas. So weak areas, give 20 to 30% of your time. Strong areas, make it stronger, give 70% of your time. And whatever you're studying, do it by active recall. That is most important, rather than passive reading. You might think that, I know this, I know this, I know this, and you will turn. But when you're actually sitting and recalling, you will realize that you have missed quite a few points which are actually important. So always do it by active recall. It will definitely help you. And where to start reading? Okay, so where to start reading? Start reading in your high yield areas. All right. The high yield areas will be your neonatology, your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system. So start with this and then go on to the lesser areas. Least concentrated upon areas will be your eyes, ears, your nose, throat, skin. Correct. So in these, do not read from cover to cover. Read the things that you see on a daily basis. Because if you see consistently, questions are what you see. Hearing loss, evaluation of a child with hearing loss, retinopathy of prematurity, or cataract, blindness, common causes of blindness. So these are things that you see on a daily basis, right? So read just those questions, not everything. Do not waste time for these areas. Spend time where you will actually gain marks in, and spend the time wisely. Quality is not important at the end of the day. Quantity is not important. It does not matter. You say, I read 12 hours per day, I read 6 hours per day. Does not matter. Okay, a person who is reading 3 to 4 hours might be doing better, because that fellow is actually concentrating while he's reading. While you are, browsing, you are trying to check something else. You have a news that is coming up on another digital device. So it does not matter how many hours you spend. It is how you spend that matters. All right. So I think I have covered most of the questions. Plan for next 1 month, reading from where to start reading, areas to concentrate upon. We discussed how to prepare yourself. Another question, another message that and I actually feel for you guys that I have failed multiple attempts previously. Is it worth giving one more shot? Do you think I will pass? The answer that I can give you is, you have come this far. You have been relentless this far. So spend the next 1 month fighting for your degree. It is your degree, right? You're going to feel so proud. You'll feel so proud when you're able to add a DNB degree to the end of your name, right? So work towards that goal. Do not have a moment of hesitancy. Do not feel threatened, or do not feel disheartened because somebody who's junior to you is passing you. Somebody who's on the same level, your colleague, is actually doing something else. It does not matter. Everybody is on their own road. Everybody is on their own journey. Try not to compare yourself with others. The moment you start comparing, that moment you have failed. You will feel depressed. You will feel, dejected. You will feel rejected by the society, and that's a spiral of depression, and it will result in wasted days. I have also been through the same spiral, and at the end of the day, I just wasted time, precious time that I could have spent studying, I could have spent bettering myself, I could have spent gaining knowledge. But time lost is lost. You will never get back those times. And there's no point thinking back to what did I do wrong last time. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong that you did last time. And even if you did, there's nothing that you can do about it right now except correct it. So, what could have gone wrong last time? So, either your way of preparation was not good. I will never say it's not enough, because I know all of you prepare enough. All right. The way you prepare might not have been enough, not the amount. The way you prepare might not have been enough, or the way you execute it might not be enough. I think this execution is the problem for most of us, right? Even for me, I did very well in practicals, but I did not do that great in theory, because I'm not that great at execution. All right. And I did not practice that great writing my theory. So while I fared well in my practicals, I got 80% around. My theory was not so great. And I can't do anything about it right now. But thinking back, I wish I had. I wish I had, practiced writing. But past is past. All right. So that's not in your control. What is in your control is today and tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. So plan your work and work your plan accordingly. The time is in your hands, and it's up to you how wise you are going to be to use that time in order to achieve your goal. Is it something that you want so bad? Is the DNB degree something that you are craving for such a long time, 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, right? Go ahead and achieve it. There are many senior pediatricians who are sitting and writing their exams for the first time. I know a few people. Take inspiration from them. Take inspiration from them. Sit and study. All right. So just because you have failed your exam does not mean you are a failure. The exam did not assess you properly, is what I will say. Right. So it's not a one size fits all. Right. You might be good at something, some other topics, but the exam did not ask those topics. That's not your fault. Correct. So never feel disheartened. Never feel like a failure. I'm sure all of you are winners. All of you are pediatricians, successful pediatricians in your own right. Nobody can know everything. All right. But everybody is strong at something. So concentrate on what you're strong, strengthen your weak points, and go to exam with a clear, calm, confident mind. I'm sure you will do well. I'm sure you will do well. So let me just take a look at the comments and I'll get to the questions. So somebody has asked, I'm just going to finish first time study. Is it possible to get pass exam? Yes. All right. So yes. See, theory studying will get you so far. If you have worked sincerely in the past 2 3 years, you will definitely pass. This is what I will say. Because at the end of the day, you keep studying. But when you go and sit in exam, you see a question. What you remember is a child that you have managed about the same question that they have asked. Rituximab, you might be remembering a nephrotic syndrome child whom you managed with rituximab. If you see a kerosene injection poisoning, you might be remembering a senior telling to you about the sad story of a child who could not be resuscitated following this kerosene poisoning. So that is what will help you in the exams. Your theory, yes, it is going to help you, but if you have worked, that is what is going to help you most. Yes, you will definitely pass exam even if you have read it only once. All right. Multiple revisions are good. Yes. But even if you have read it once, if you are able to go through it, recall it once again, you will definitely be able to pass your exams, doctor. If my basic studies are not studies, shall I continue it or shift to recent papers? Okay. So I think what you're trying to ask is, should I shift from whatever I was studying previously? All are important. No. See, recent advances paper also, not everything that is asked is actually recent advances. Have you looked at it? So it still constitutes your basic sciences. It still constitutes your regular systemic pediatrics thrown with a few recent advances. Recent advances are not going to jump from the sky. It's what you already know, but with added recent advances. Avladha. So for that, don't try to completely turn over whatever you are studying right now. All right. I would suggest add on to it if you can spare the time. That is, I'd suggest you spare the time because recent advances is important. Most of the questions that are asked are from the past few 2 to 3 years. Indian Pediatrics, Indian Journal of Pediatrics, and Indian Journal of Practical Pediatrics topics, not the exact papers, but topics. If they have spent, say a few articles that are discussing autism, then chances are that you might get an autism question. You need not read the article, but know the topic and know a few significant salient points on that and topics. Whatever works for you, Dr. Archana. See, if you are comfortable with finishing system wise, then stick to system wise questions. Form your own questions. All right. Apart from concentrating on your repeated questions, form your own questions because recent past 1 or 2 years DNB, they are asking more and more newer and newer questions about older and older topics. What I'm trying to tell is you might know everything about acute rheumatic fever, but they might be asking a question on rheumatic fever that, but you might not be knowing that great about it. You get my point? So they might be asking just about Sydenham's chorea or in a எப்படி சொல்றது, you might be knowing everything about SMA. All right, spinomuscular atrophy. But they might be asking about just the management part. But management, you knew only 2 points, but now they're asking for a 5 mark question. So those sort of questions are being asked. So form your own questions. Think about, say, suppose if just this topic is asked, do I know at least 5 to 10 points to write in that? So when you're opening your book, you're opening your OP Guy, you're opening your Nelson, you're opening your PG textbook of pediatrics, whichever book you follow, side topics, close your eyes and recall 5 to 10 points on whatever side topic you see. Because each side topic is a question. Assume like that and read. In that way, if you read, you're reading effectively to answer a theory paper. Because that's how theory questions are, right? They are going to ask approach to your child with XYZ, management of XYZ, correct? So if you can actively recall like that, you'll be able to answer. Give importance to previously asked questions. But system wise or questions wise is up to you. If you're someone who can sit with a single system, stick with system wise questions. If you're someone who's comfortable with question paper wise questions, stick to it. At the end of the day, you're going to cover everything. All right. Which has a better advantage? If you ask me personally, I would go for a system wise topic. All right. Because system wise topic, you will be opening your textbook and you will be covering from end to end. So the in between questions will not get lost. If you follow a question paper wise question, chances are you might miss something that is, staying in between and you do not see that question at all. It might not come into your vision at all. So I would say go to system wise between two. Akshay, yes, I told you, no making fun of me. Next, Dr. Amrita has asked how to recall all genes and chromosomes associated. It is getting tough. Why do you want to read all genes and chromosomes for your theory paper? They are not going to ask all that. Read just the most important syndromes that are being asked. Innama, what are they going to ask? Down syndrome, kekalama, Klinefelters, Turners, Nonans, Prader-Willi, right? What other is there? Minji minji pochna or Vactral anomaly they can ask, right? This common 5 to 6 syndromes alone, remember. Don't need to remember random things that are asked for entrance exams. That's not necessary for your theory exams. So don't. Then recent exam failures, how to cover in the next 1 month. I hope I have covered that for you guys. All right. So next 1 month, if you want to cover pediatrics, know that you may not be able to cover each and every topic in pediatrics. Accept it as a reality. All right. So accept it as a reality. Does not matter if you do not cover everything. Even then you will pass. All right. Give importance to major systems. Give importance to neonatology and critical care. Give importance to the miscellaneous topics that we discussed. These going to be concentrating on apart from your recent advances. If you read this much, that is more than enough. Planning wise, it is up to the individual person to plan as to what works for you. I have already put up a video on how you might be able to plan. You can go ahead and go through that and plan it accordingly. Can I ask for the answer paper? I don't know where I have gone wrong. I do not know if you can ask for a recall of answer paper, doctor. I honestly do not know whether that is allowed, whether you can ask for a revaluation, you can ask for a Xerox copy. I do not know. So that is something you have to ask and be faculties. They might be knowing better. I wrote well in first and second paper, but got less marks in both of them. Okay. I do not know the reason. Okay, because each person corrects it differently. Each person might have a different point of view as to what the important points constitute. Okay, so that is why it's important for us to highlight what we know. All right. So if you highlight what you know, if you present it in a nice, diagrams, flow chart, and all that, that's more than enough. But if everything is, completely blue or completely black, then the examiner might get fatigued looking at the same thing again and again. If something is different in your paper, it will make them sit up straight and take a look at what you have written. So that's most important. Then any book or PDF for studying system-wise topics. There is no ready-made material. There is one in Amazon, but I learned that that does not cover DNB question answer per se. I think it covers e-papers. That question and answer format is there. If you are willing, you can go ahead and buy that book. It costs around 1,200 or 1,300. I think the link I have put up in Pediatric Takes Telegram group. You can go ahead and look it up. So that is something that you can take a look. All right. Again, even when you're reading from the book, read the question, try to recall that answer for the question. All right. It's not enough if you read the question and read answer in the book and say, okay, I have completed it. So actively recall. So he has, Dr. Venu is replying, they are charging 750 rupees per paper. They will give, but can they point out this person so we can target him again like that? I have no idea. As I said, I do not know how the system works. Okay. So I don't know. You have to ask your DNB faculties. Only questions. Dr. Mohammed, the only questions, there's a dnbpediatrics.com which gives you system-wise question. There's also a question paper list that's posted in a pediatric text group. You can go ahead and look it up. It's organized system-wise question bank. You can see that. Correct. Dr. Srinivas is right. That's the question and answer format book is Dr. Ankit Yavendra. Correct. So you can go ahead and look it up. All right. So Dr. Pradeep has replied, you can ask for photocopies, but apparently re-evaluation is not entertained. Then what is the point of looking at photocopies? I mean, you asked so you can, find out what has gone wrong, and maybe it's just for your own betterment rather than asking for re-evaluation. Maybe. I don't know. So if these are the questions, I think we can sign off, say bye-bye. If you have any other questions, you can ask in the live chat. I will answer it. I'll wait for 5 more minutes. Otherwise, I'm very hungry. After lunch, I didn't have much. Okay, I'll wait. If you have anything, you can ask. Hope this session was useful. I hope I did not bore you guys too much either, because it's gone on for 1 hour. Thanks, Dr. Srinivas. I should thank all of you for actually coming and listening to me talk for 1 hour. I know that's not an easy task. It's not an easy ask also, given the time crunch that all of you are in. Dr. Mohammed is asking, making notes or underlining the textbook, which is good. So making notes, if you are a beginner, if you are starting out, if you have 1 or 2 years to sit for your exams, making notes is good. When making notes, always make sure you leave space on either side or above and below to add on points that you might come across later on. Last 1 month, just underline and study. If you make notes only for those topics where you think it might definitely be asked, and things are, points are scattered between multiple textbooks, or you have that only in the online format and you do not have anything with you to read. So in that case, make a notes. Otherwise, last 1 month, do not waste time making notes. It will not help you much. It will just waste time, because making notes take a lot of time. All right. Then what is next plan of teaching? Next plan of teaching. Next plan of teaching will follow whatever I have planned for my studying. And my plan of studying, I do every week or twice a week. Because as I said, I do not have that much of I cannot plan for long term, honestly, because every day is different for me with a toddler at home. So I need to plan my days accordingly. So every 2 to 3 days, I plan for what I have to read for next 3 days. And from whatever I am reading, I am teaching. I am not studying anything extra to teach you guys. Then tell some topic from IJPP and IJP. Dr. Amrita, I have already covered it in the possible questions that could be asked for the upcoming DNB exams. That was in one of the previous videos. Please go through that. I have covered all those topics. Then this month upcoming topics, other than Dr. Turumo, I am telling, I have no idea what I am going to read for the next 3 days. How will I be able to give you a plan? Once I make a plan, I'll give you. But again, those plans will be for only next 3 or 4 days. It will not be more. And in between, suddenly I will get an inspiration to study something new to teach you. So that will be like I did that foreign body button battery. No, that was last spur of the moment decision. Suddenly I wanted to read about button batteries. I read and I taught you. So I will give you a plan, but it's mostly going to be a tentative plan. Then how can we get Indian Pediatrics article? No, Indian Pediatrics is available free. Indian Journal of Practical Pediatrics, you have 2020 first two is available for free online, and the third one I have put up in Pediatrics Text group. You can download that. Indian Journal of Pediatrics, I think I have it somewhere in my tablet. The 2020 order Indian Journal of Pediatrics, I have all in one single PDF. I'll try to forward it. Okay, so the topics you will be able to know which topics are asked. So that might help you. Then for practical, any question answer books, there are few OSCE books. You can buy them and you can study them, Dr. Archana. எனக்கு names I don't know. I have one book here, Dr. Manoj Sharma. I think that's Manoj Sharma. I don't remember. And there's one more book. You can go through that. It will give you a fair idea as to what sort of questions are asked. Again, in dnbpediatrics.com website, they have a separate OSCE session. And there's one more site called as OSCE Pediatrics, where they have put up questions on OSCE. So these are all sources from which you can gain an idea as to what sort of questions are being asked. So that will be helpful for OSCE and practical pediatrics. IJP, I will do it, Dr. Venu. I have to find it in my tablet and I'll forward it definitely. Yes. So shall we say bye-bye? All right. Bye-bye. Take care. All the best. I'm sure all of you will pass your DNB exam. The most important thing is go with confidence. All right. Confidence is a very, very important factor. All right. So a person might not have read that well, but if they go in with confidence, they will definitely pass. So do not have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have a faith that you will be able to achieve it. Okay. So keep a goal that you are going to put the DNB degree at the end of your name this coming academic year. And I'm sure all of you will achieve it. All right.